Trend two that I selected is the Supreme Court, and I don't want to go over what Aaron so ably mentioned all of us, but I believe compared to the beginning of the decade, the court certainly is more business friendly now than it might have been before. When it comes to an arbitration case, I think most employers win arbitration issues by and large at least 5-4. And I would characterize cases as either door openers, the court opening the door to federal courts, making it easier to sue or easier to certify their case, or a door closer, making the standards higher, making it more difficult for lawsuits to be brought. And what you saw in terms of the last decade were three cases. I've listed two of them, the Dukes case in 2011, the Comcast case in 2013, and then the Epic Systems case a year and a half ago in March of 2018. All three of them are door closers. All three of them make it more difficult to bring workplace class actions. All of them erect barriers that workers, plaintiffs have to jump over and basically make it easier for employers to defend themselves. So as we saw with that percentage this year in terms of the plaintiffs' bar adapting to Dukes, you're going to see the plaintiffs' bar adapting to Epic Systems. Aaron talked about the DoorDash model and what's going on there. So who knows what's going to bring in the next decade, but it's if you think about a pendulum swinging from left to right, that's probably what we saw in the last decade. Employers doing pretty well now, but yet plaintiffs' attorneys certifying cases at the highest rate ever. So go figure. It's a little out there. So I'd like to go now to trend three, which is government enforcement litigation. And I think that basically what you can say is it's fallen off the cliff. And finally, the Trump administration has effectuated its goal to ratchet down government enforcement litigation. So for the EEOC and the Department of Labor, the rate and volume of lawsuit filings is way down. There was a 30% reduction last year as compared to 2018. The recoveries were down a little. There's a map here. It's kind of hard to read the numbers, but think about how populated the state of New York is. And there were 3 lawsuits filed by the government in the state of New York, 3 in Texas, 1 in Michigan, 2 in Pennsylvania, none in Arizona, none in the state of Washington. California had 11. Maryland, of all places, had the second highest number, 6. So litigation filings by government enforcement lawyers have a little bit more to do with the individual proclivities of the district offices of those government offices than it has to do with the national plan, other than the watchword of settlements are down. Next trend would be about the timing. I think many in this room know that the fiscal year for the EEOC ends on September 30 of each year, and it measures its lawsuit filings from October 1 to September 30. Last year, 52 lawsuits, more than a third, were filed in the last 20 days of the fiscal year. What types? Gender discrimination and ADA. So if you really drill down to what is the pressure point for an employer right now, it is how you handle accommodation requests for employees with a disability and how one handles workplace harassment issues. Other than the way you pay people, these statistics show those are the 2 areas where the government is most apt to have an employer on its radar in terms of what it's looking for when it is deciding whether or not to sue a private employer. I handle cases brought by private plaintiffs' lawyers. I handle cases brought by the government. Cases brought by the government, much, much different. I would describe it as akin to holding a tiger by the tail. Very, very aggressive, has the full weight of the government behind it, somewhat of an unlimited budget, and kind of the notion of we do it because we have the power to do it and we're going to do it and we don't have to explain ourselves to anyone. So although there are less government lawsuits, they tend to be very, very difficult ones. My prediction would be in 2000 2020, we're going to see less than we saw even in 2019 when they were down. And until there is a new occupant in the White House, maybe from a different political party, and less than until that occurs, I do not see governmental litigation